Throughout my career of 4 years, I have failed interviews at Goldman Sachs, Google, and then I have passed interviews at Microsoft, Adobe, and companies like these. Hello everyone, welcome to the masterclass. My name is Rajat Garg, and I am a former software engineer at Microsoft. I am here to share my experience of how you can get into some of these top product-based companies. So in today's class, we will start with what are the right skills required for you to get into these companies and what are the resources which you can follow. Then we will cover how can you get your resume shortlisted for these companies. And finally, then we will cover some of the interview experiences at Microsoft. Okay, so let's get started with the class. Let's start with the first topic. What are the right skills required to crack companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon? So the very first skill that you require to get into these companies is a programming language. You can choose any object-oriented programming language. It can be C++, Java, Python. My personal recommendation would be that you choose either Java or either C++, right? Once you have understanding of the programming language, you should move to problem solving in data structures and algorithms. This is the most important part. 70 to 80% of your interview is going to focus on data structures and algorithms, and it is very, very important for you to learn. Within data structures and algorithms, you should have strong foundational knowledge of all the data structures and algorithms like arrays, linked list, stack, queue, trees, all the algorithms like dynamic programming, greedy, sorting, searching. You should have very good knowledge of all of these. Then once you have the strong foundational understanding of this, then you should have good problem solving skills. In interviews, you are mostly asked questions of data structures and algorithms. These questions are found on multiple platforms. One of the most famous is LeetCode. So you should be able to solve easy, medium level problems on LeetCode. If you are able to solve hard problems, great. But if you're even able to solve easy and medium, it's a very, very good starting point. And then you can move to hard problems. The third skill set that is very much required as a working professional to get into these companies is system design. System design is about designing a scalable and a clean quality code. It is further divided into two parts. One of them is known as low-level design, which is LLD, and another one is known as high-level design, which is known as HLD, right? So let's cover them in short details. What is low-level design? Low-level design is about writing good quality of code. When we are building projects for ourselves, code quality really does not matter. We don't care about it. But when I was working at Microsoft for 3 years, I was working at the PowerPoint team, PowerPoint online team. PowerPoint is a very, very old product. It's a 14-15 years of old product. So people have been writing code on PowerPoint for the last 13-14 years. So think about it. I joined Microsoft in 2019. I am writing code on top of people who have written code for over the years. And people will again write code on top of my code for coming years. So the quality of code has to be very good, which is code is easy to understand, is maintainable, is easy to extend, right? These are very, very important things to do. Now this looks hard, right? Like this looks hard. How will you be able to write clean quality of code which can sustain over a period of 10 years, 20 years? But actually it's not hard. It's a very, very research topic, and it comes under a topic known as low-level design, right? So within this as well, you should know two things. One, you should be good with the foundations of low-level design, which are object-oriented programming, design patterns, and solid principles. Once you are good with the foundations of low-level design, there are low-level design problems which you have to be good with. For example, design a phone book system or design Ola, design Uber. These types of problems are asked in actual interviews. Now coming to high-level design. What is high-level design? High-level design is about designing for scalability. What do I mean by scalability, right? For example, again, taking my example, I was working at PowerPoint Online. PowerPoint Online is used by 200 million users monthly. Not 10 users, not 100 users, not 1000 users. 200 million users every month use PowerPoint Online all across the world. People use PowerPoint in US, in Europe, in Australia, in India, in Africa, everywhere, all across the world. How do you design a system for this kind of scale? Is something that is covered under system design. Again, you should do two things in system design. First, learn the foundations of system design, right? You have to learn about caching. You have to learn about what is a distributed system, what is horizontal scaling, what is vertical scaling, what are CDNs, how does systems work, what are microservices, and multiple other topics. And then once you have foundations clear, then you have to again solve interview specific problems. For example, in Microsoft interview, I was asked to design Outlook search or Google search, or you can be asked to design YouTube uploading infra. These are the type of problems that are asked in high level design, right? This is the second most important skill as a working professional. The third skill you require to get into these top product based company is projects, essentially specialization in tech stacks. It can be anything. Let's say you are a full stack developer, right? You should have good understanding around some front end frameworks like React, clubbed with, of course, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then in backend as well, you should know about some backend technologies. Merge Tech is a very good starting point if you want to if you don't have a lot of current experience in your current company. Merge Tech is a very good text framework to follow. If you are already working in a company for the last 2-3 years and your role is tech centric, you can showcase whatever work you have done in your company and specialize in that. If you have been in a company where you are on a system engineer role or in a role which is non-tech, where you are not really doing the tech work, then you have to focus on building some projects in your resume which are tech centric. Okay. The final thing which I would add is somewhat of smaller things which can also be asked in an interview at these top product based companies are computer science fundamentals. Essentially 3 topics. First one is computer networks. Very, very important. How does internet work? How does networking work? Whenever you send the data to someone else, how does that network goes about? Operating system. How does a computer work, right? Everything that you run on the code is actually run on a hardware. It is important for us to understand how does the basics of a computer work, which is learned under operating system. And the last most important thing of after computer networks and operating system is database management system, right? You are going to upload a lot of data to database. So how does database work? How does SQL work? How does NoSQL work? Where to use SQL? Where to use NoSQL? That is something that is very, very important for you to learn. Essentially, these are the 4 skills that you require to get into top product-based companies. Believe me, if you are good at a programming language, if you know problem solving in data structures and algorithms, if you are good with low-level design and high-level design, if you are good with projects development and you have good project understanding, and if you are good with CS fundamentals of 3 topic: computer networks, operating system, DBMS, you can crack any interview at any top product based companies. Okay, so now you know what all to learn to get into these top product based companies. Now let's discuss where you can learn all these skill sets. So the first topic is programming language. So whichever programming language you want to choose, either C++ or Java, you can easily learn it from YouTube. There are multiple playlists available for each of the programming language. Very simple. You can easily learn it. Second is problem solving in data structures and algorithms. For this, the best course that I would recommend, that I have also done, is MIT Open Coursework course on data structures and algorithms. This will help you build up your fundamentals of data structures and algorithms. And then once you have built up the fundamentals, you have to solve problems. The best platform which I also use personally to solve problems of data structures and algorithms is LeetCode. Why do I say it's the best platform? Because you can filter by topic, right? You can solve problems of arrays, linked list, tag, queues separately. You can also filter by difficulty level. So let's say if I want to solve easy problems of linked list, I can do that. If I want to solve medium level of linked list, I can do that. Also, there are limited number of questions here. There are not a lot of questions. Then for system design, we have first LLD. For LLD, I will, after this class, for fundamentals and learning, I will share you a GitHub link of Ashish Pratap, which covers all the resources which you need to learn and articles about them and resources about them from where you can learn this. This GitHub repo have all the things which you require to become good at LLD. For HLD, you can follow the book Grokking the System Design Interviews. It's the best book to cover the fundamentals of high-level design and then solve problems. Again, you will find multiple GitHub repo where you can solve problems of system design. You will again find Ashish Pratap GitHub repo as well. Then you want to do projects, specialization into particular topic. When I was doing projects, I also used to follow Coursera courses. You can get them as free as well by auditing the course. And the Coursera courses are very, very good. There are projects inbuilt for each of the topic and you will be able to master the fundamentals of the specialization which you are doing. Then build few projects by yourself which you are interested in. Again, project specialization is only for people who are currently working in an organization where they don't have a tech experience. If you're already working in a company where you're working on tech specific role, focus on what you are building on in your company and learn those very, very well. Then comes CS fundamentals. For CS fundamentals, you have to rely on YouTube and books. I personally covered books for CS fundamentals, but again, this can take a lot of time. There are no concise resources available for free which covers only things which are required for getting into an interview. So you can have to learn something extra and it will take more time. A paid resource which I would mention is Bosscoder Academy. If you want to cover all of this in a structured way, you can also check out the Transformer program for people who have less than 6 years of experience, and Evolve program for people who have plus 6 years of experience. And all the skill sets are covered in a very, very structured way. This is how you can learn all these skills. Okay, now we know what are the skills required to get into top product based companies and where to learn them. Now, once you have learned the skills, how will you get into top product based companies? How will you get your resume shortlisted and get interviews at these companies? Now let's talk about this. I have a resume for that. We will cover using this. So the next topic is how to get your resume shortlisted. I will divide this section into two parts. One is how to create a good resume. And the second thing is how to apply to get shortlisted. So let's start with the first topic is how to create a good resume. So to understand how to create a good resume, let's try to understand the life cycle of your resume. So once you, let's say Microsoft is hiring for software engineering role. So it will post a job at multiple locations like Linklist, Internshala, Naukri, different platforms. And a lot of people will apply to these companies with their resume. So the Microsoft will get thousands of resume for the job post. The very first thing that Microsoft will do is pass all these resume to something known as a ATS system, which is Application Tracking System. What is ATS? ATS takes two things, the job description and your resume. And it matches how resume and job description are matching. And if this is a good match, your resume pass forwards to the next stage. 70% of the resume statistically are not able to go through the ATS system itself. Then once your resume goes through the ATS system comes the second step. Step 2, which is your resume will be seen by a non-tech HR. Remember, HR is not a tech person. HR is a non-tech person. HR will see your resume and quickly will judge whether should I schedule interviews or give him the online test or not, right? So you have to optimize your resume here as well for a non-tech person. And finally, then your resume will be seen by a hiring manager, which is a tech person. Now we know what is the life cycle of your resume before you start getting interview calls. Now let's learn how to optimize so that your resume gets shortlisted at step 1, your resume gets shortlisted at step 2, and your resume gets shortlisted at step 3. Let's take an example of the resume here, right? So the first step is ATS. First step is I want to get my resume shortlisted through a ATS. ATS is a software. ATS will check job description and your resume. So there should be keywords mentioned in your resume so that the software can understand that the keywords in your resume and the keywords in the job description matches. Let's say if Microsoft is looking for someone who knows React, who knows DSA, who know backend development in C#, then your resume should contain these keywords, right? Now let's see the resume that we have and try to understand from there. See, in this resume, you see multiple keywords here, right? See here React. In the projects part, if you see React after code hangout, specifically written React.js, Redux, Socket.io, Express.js. Again, in the second project, specifically written Python, PHP, MySQL, JavaScript, NumPy, Pandas. In the third project as well. These act as keywords which help the ATS score increase. Similarly, if you see the technical skills, you will see C Sharp, Java, Python, JavaScript. You will see web development frameworks, libraries, databases. Again, all these act as a keyword which helps the ATS system to improve their score. So you should definitely mention it. After your project, mention what all tech stacks you have used. And have a specific section of technical skills where you mention everything that you know. This will help you improve your ATS score. Try to also include keywords in the project section. For example, if you see here, in the experiences, you will see at Listener Corporation, it is clearly written, build entire front end using React with end-to-end payment recurring service. Here, front end is a keyword, React is a keyword, right? So try to include these keywords to help the ATS score increase. If you do this, your resume will for sure pass through the ATS system. Once it passed through the ATM system, we have to go to the step 2, which is passing the resume through a non-tech HR. Now, non-tech HR does not have the tech specific knowledge. He or she will see your resume and make a judge how eligible you are for this role. So again, make sure that first thing is your resume appears full. It does not look empty. Second, most important point is that your projects, your experiences should talk about achievements also, rather than just what you have done. Let's see this in action. If you see here, at Microsoft software engineer identified fraud and abuse pattern that uncovered fraud tenants, leading to the clearance of 350 petabytes of storage and saving $104 million annually. It's nothing tech. Even a non-tech person can understand and see what is the impact this person had created at his current organization. So whichever organization you are working at, include those specific points, right? Again, in Google Summer of Code, develop containerized version of the editor and API, enabling seamless conversion of ATF data to JTF format, improve deployment efficiency by 50%. Again, specifics about what are the impact that this project has created, right? So similarly, you have to make sure that in everything that you do, in all the projects and experience, you mention what are the impacts you have done, so that the non-tech person can also understand that without going into a lot of complexities of tech. Make sense? Then comes the third step. Third step is getting your resume shortlisted via hiring manager. Now this hiring manager has a deep tech expertise. He or she knows tech and is very, very good at it. For this, your resume should be tech centric, so that he understands that you have deep tech expertise. But he is the third person to view your resume, not the first. So you have to pass through first two as well. Now, see the resume, right? He has clearly mentioned what he has done in his overall life cycle, overall of his companies, working at different companies, which is a great thing. Talked about some tech works as well, that I have used Google and Azure text to speech APIs. I have used customized audio player. I have created and CI/CD workflows, right? Also talks about I have used algorithms collaboratively with friends and checks to your friends while coding. So specifically talks about what are all the tech things that you have done which makes you a good tech person. Make sense? If you do these things, you will for sure get your resume shortlisted. I will mention just few more key points which you should take in mind while creating your resume. One, keep it simple and one page. Don't create 2 layout resume, 3 layout resume, fancy resume. Just create a simple format like this. Over thousands of students that we have placed at Bosscoder, we have seen that this format works the best for towards resume shortlisting. So just follow this. Create this type of resume from Overleaf, which is a free website, and only create one page resume. Second, mention your top points or achievements at the top. The HR or any human will see this resume from the top to down, right? So what is the top point for this person? His internship, his experience at Microsoft is a top point. His experience at Google Summer of Code is his strong point. His experience at front-end developer is a strong point. His projects are a strong point. His college is not a strong point, right? He is not from a very good college. He's from a tier 3 college. So he has not mentioned it on top. But I see a lot of people still coming not from a very good college, but still mention it at the top. If I am from an IIT or NIT, I will mention it at the top. That's my advantage. I will mention it. That's my key achievement. But for this person, it is not. So he or she should not mention it on the top, but mention it at below points. This is very, very important. So think of what are your key achievements. Your key achievement can be a great project you have built, can be the contribution in Google Summer of Code you have made, or the contest you might have won through hackathons or through different competitions that you have participated in. The work experience that you have in your current company can be your strong point. Think about those. If you don't have those strong points, create those strong points and then add them to the top of your resume and include your non important or non strong points at the bottom of the resume, so that when someone sees, they get a good impression first, and then they see, okay, it's fine, they are from a tier 3 college, does not matter, but they've done a lot of things, rather than they see for the first they are not from a very good college. If you are from a great college, from IIT and IT, mention it at the top. That's your key accomplishment. If you keep in mind these things, then your resume will sure have a very, very high chance of getting shortlisted and getting you interview calls. Now we know how to create a good resume. Now let's talk about how to apply to companies. Over 3 years working with thousands of students at Bosscoder, I have realized one thing. There is no fancy thing in applying to different companies. I have myself applied to so many things. Only one thing's win. How many companies are you applying? So if a person A applies to 50 companies every day with a good resume that we talked about, right? For next 2 to 3 companies, 2 to 3 weeks, he will surely start getting calls in the 4th week from different companies. But they have to apply to a lot of companies. Where will you find opportunities? Simple, go to LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn, search simply of just search simply on the job section and you will find all the open positions. Or go to Naukri, right? Or go to any job platform and find out which all companies are hiring. Go to the company platform. Follow some influencers who are on LinkedIn or on YouTube, which are sharing job opportunities. Join some WhatsApp, Telegram groups where you see that there are opportunities available. As soon as you get to know that this company is hiring, start applying to a lot of companies every day. Now, one thing that I want you to avoid is focus a lot of time, a lot of your energy on getting referrals, etc. I am not saying referrals does not work. Referral works. It works great. If you apply through a referral, your chances of getting a resume will be much, much higher. However, if you don't have a resume at Microsoft, just don't stop from applying to Microsoft. If you don't have a referral, if you don't have a genuine referral, it's fine. If you send few messages and if you get those are fine. If you still don't get a referral, it's completely fine. Create a good resume and apply to a lot of companies, and that will get your resume shortlisted for sure. I am confident, and I have seen this with thousands of learners and by myself as well. If you apply these two things of creating a good resume, creating a good LinkedIn profile, creating a good Naukri profile, and then applying to a lot of companies every day for a consistent period of 3 to 4 weeks, you will definitely start getting a lot of interview calls. It's very, very simple. Okay, so now we know what are the skills required, how to learn those skills, where to learn those skills. Once you have learned the skills, how to create a resume and how to apply to companies. Now let's see, if you have your interview, how will the interview experience will look like. For this, I will share you my interview experience at Microsoft. So my experience started with the round one. The round one is a online coding round. In this, I was asked 3 DSA problems, and it was of 1.5 hours. I don't remember the specific problems, but one problem was of tree, one problem was of array, and one problem was of, I think, stacks or queue. And these were, I would say, medium level problems. They were not really hard problems, they were not really easy problems, but they were medium level problems. You have to be, however, good with speed of coding, and you should definitely write good quality of code. By good quality of code, I means what variable name you have written, how are you structuring your code, are you giving right indentation in the code, also matters, because a lot of people qualify all the three questions and then the recruiter sees the program manually and check which one to accept, which one to reject. Now with AI and chat GPT, a lot of cheatings also happen, so the recruiter sees the answers one by one even if you have clarified all the questions. So writing code by yourself will have your writing style in it, and that will immediately separate out you from a lot of different people. Then the round two. Round two was a interview on DSA. This was a one-on-one interview. It was a problem based on heaps. I would say again it was a medium level problem, not a very hard problem, but was a logical problem. So if you have good fundamental understanding of how heaps work and you have solved 10-15 problems of heaps, you would have been able to solve this problem easily. Again, and to understand the fundamentals, I would strongly recommend doing the MIT OpenCourseWare course that I shared with you. The round three was a again one-on-one interview based on maths and DSA. This was an interesting problem, a new type of problem which I have never solved before. This was around probability and random distribution. A clever problem which uses array list as a fundamental block and some basics of probability and random distribution to be able to come up with the answer, and then I have to code the solution. In these types of interviews, I would recommend ask questions. If you have never seen those types of questions before, just ask questions and clarify, and then move step by step by step. The round four was again a one-on-one interview of DSA. In this round, the question was of tries. It was a hard problem. The problem was ambiguous. It is a whole problem statement. I first come up with a hash map approach, and then the recruiter asked me to further optimize, and then I come to the try approach, and then I have to code the solution and talk about the time and space complexity. Time and space complexity I have to talk about here as well, and I have to talk about here as well. After every round, after every DSA problem, the recruiter will ask you what is the time and space complexity of it, and can you further optimize this. The round five was again a one-on-one interview, and it was the last managerial round. In this, the person taking the interview was very senior as compared to what the previous interviewers were. And the managerial round started with an interesting problem of designing Outlook search, a system design problem. We started with understanding what are the requirements, how can we build it at small scale, how can we write some clean quality of code, and then how can we scale the system to a lot of users. So a problem which tested my problem understanding skills, a problem that understanding my knowledge of LLD and writing clean code, then a problem that tests my HLD skills. Then there was a small question, easy problem of DSA, of binary search. It was a very easy problem, not a very hard problem, and was very quick as well, because we spent a lot of time in the Outlook search. We just spent small time in binary search, and it was an easy problem. And then finally some managerial questions like why you want to move to IT when you are from electrical domain, why you choose IT if you are from electrical domain, are you hardworking, how can I believe that you are hardworking. Some problems like this. I would recommend you be genuine in these. This is a person who has 11-12 years of experience. I can't bluff him. You can't bluff him. He has worked with so many people in the past. Just be genuine of why you want to do this. Why do you love working at Microsoft? What makes the organization good for you? It can be the work-life balance. It can be the great reviews that you have heard from outside, from your friends, or anything. With this was my interview experience. I hope this masterclass was helpful for you. You get to know a lot of things of what are the skills required, how to learn and where to learn those skill sets, how to create your resume, how to get your resume shortlisted and apply to companies, and then how will your interview go about. Again, thank you very much for joining in. I hope you learn a lot from this masterclass. I see you in the next class. Bye bye.